Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I have people already talking to me. Hello. That's great. I love when people are talking to me. It helps me so much not fall asleep talking to no one in the monitor. So welcome. Okay, lung health is the topic today. I'm going to let some people join us. If you want to be notified for these, remember that you can click the little bell next to the subscribe button, and that will actually notify you anytime I post a new video or anytime I go live on one of these videos. So then in case you forgot, it will notify you on your phone and you might be able to join us. If you would like to join in the chat, there is a live chat that you can be part of. Just sign in with your Google account and that will allow you to leave comments. And you can ask questions, leave comments, and I will read those and answer those, and we will go forward. Okay, welcome, welcome. Yawning and sneezing at the same time. Okay, very interesting. Okay, today is lung health. That's what we are talking about. I have a pretty basic structure in terms of lung health healing. It's not too complicated to discuss. It can be actually pretty tricky to potentially heal from because, just like I said in the description, this is something that you have to keep using even in the midst of healing, which is true of all things of your body, but things like skin, we can, of course, be a little more protective of, or is a little less important for it to be functioning, optimally. Breathing's pretty important. So hopefully the learning that we have today will help you understand the lungs better, help you understand what the lungs need to heal, help you understand why the lungs can get hurt, what hurts the lungs, and that will help put together your piece, your way to help that work. So hopefully you guys can all see me. I feel like my camera just blipped out. Should be good. Okay, first off, let's talk about the lungs. What are the lungs? Very simply, of course, the lungs are structures that are here in our chest. They exchange oxygen, carbon dioxide, other nutrients in gases, anything that's a gaseous form, nitrogen, lots of toxins in our body become gases and are then expended out, expended, that's not the right word, exposed out of our body. I think that's the word I want. So all of that is happening every time we breathe in and out. Very fascinating. I had some minor lung issues. Lungs have not been a big problem of mine, but I had some minor lung issues a few years ago. I looked up what to do. There are some things and foods which we're going to definitely talk about, but a large part of what to do in our body is to breathe. Breathing is actually the functionality to help our lungs to be strong, to clear, and to do their job better, to get toxins out of our body. So if we are struggling with lung issues, we need to breathe. There's a physical reason we need to breathe toxins out. And then there also are physical reasons that counteract in the endocrine system. If we are breathing deeply in our chest all the way down, my dog would like to join us. I don't think it's an option for him. We'd like to breathe all the way down to the bases of our lungs. That is going to be something that we need to do to stimulate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve tells our body that everything is safe. We can relax. When we are breathing with just the upper parts of our lungs, we are actually putting ourselves into a fight or flight mode, a quick, let's go, we got to run away from the tiger kind of mode. So that is what we are looking at today. We have a cozy dog today. Okay, so that all being said, breathing is really important. There's a lot of ways you can learn to breathe. Let's just sidebar on that because I don't always remember to talk about this. Learning to breathe, like I am not doing right now, some clues of when you're not breathing well. You feel anxious all the time. You have to catch your breath quickly. You find yourself yawning. You are, how do I describe that? It's along with not catching your breath, but there's this just kind of shallowness that you notice to really your emotions. When that's happening, what we want to do, the dog is extra today, extra entertainment. When that happens, what we want to do is practice breathing differently. There's lots of ways to do that. I have an app on my phone called Prana Breath, Prana, not a sponsor, just one I found for free, that helps you breathe in a pattern. So you breathe in, you hold it, you breathe out. There's different breathing techniques. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm not breathing well. Let me sit up better. There's different breathing techniques for different things like anxiety, calming down, going to sleep. Can't remember some of the other ones. So that can be very helpful. If you are breathing and holding your breath or not able to actually do what they're telling you to do, there's a really good chance you're not getting your breath down to your lower lobes, which should really go pretty much to your rib cage. Talking about breathing is making me breathe weird. Okay. So if that happens, I will calm down here a little bit. If that happens, then you can work on how to breathe properly. So there's lots of techniques and things that you can read to do. The technique that I learned in person, which was very helpful, is to sit cross-legged on the floor, put your hands on your waist, so your actual waist above your hip bones. When you breathe in, you should get a 1 to 2 inch movement in the front of your fingers that pushes out, and your back fingers might go 1/4 inch. Every breath you breathe in, your abdomen should expand, and every breath you breathe out, it should contract. If that is not how you are breathing, you are going to have and run into issues sometimes. Your vagus nerve is not being stimulated. You're going to tend towards anxiety, hyperventilation, and you are overall not going to have good, deep health. The bottom of those lungs need to be used. Oh, okay, we are transitioning into slower talking. So, deep breath in, breathe and let it out. Practice sitting on the floor. That can help you understand how to feel when you are breathing properly. For me, I know how to breathe properly, and I do it when things like this. I am talking too fast. I'm feeling anxious. I'm yawning a lot. But I know some people, and this is a great plan, is to get yourself so practiced that you actually breathe that way all the time. That is going to put you in a very calm state of health. This can be life-changing for people. So don't underestimate this first point of, oh, yeah, breathing. Nope, it can be a really, really big deal because it puts your whole body in a state where you can heal, relax, learn, understand better than you can in a fight or flight when your only job is getting away from the tiger. You don't need to learn, relax, understand anything. You need to get away from the tiger. The problem is in our world, we often have tigers that never exist and therefore never go away. We just have a lot of stress. It doesn't really have a source and it never goes away. We also can put our body in that place by not breathing properly because we're not stimulating the vagal nerve, for example. And that actually puts us in a place. Oh, sorry, I knew it was coming because I didn't breathe. That actually puts us in a place where we, our body, our mind thinks that there's trouble, even if there's not actually trouble. So we want to do that. So let's address why I'm yawning so much and why I often yawn. Now, at the end of this, you'll notice my eyes might get sleepy. That's a very different thing. That's actually being tired. Why I am yawning right now is because I am not breathing well. When I'm talking to a camera, it's hard to get feedback from people. And I feel like I have to keep going without pause because otherwise I may lose your attention or something like that. It's subconscious. I do it automatically if I'm not paying attention. I'm afraid to take pauses of silence. So when I'm doing that, I'm of course breathing less, and my brain is signaling to get more oxygen. When you yawn, the back of your throat opens, you take a much deeper breath. as demonstrated by that. And think about it. When you yawn, you take breaths that are deeper than any other breaths you ever take, right? So breathing, yawning is a signal to your body for a couple things. It does help our mind transition from one subject to another, for example. You'll often yawn between transitions. But if you are yawning in the middle of things, it would be good to think about your breathing. Yawning is a great way to see what it feels like to take a really deep breath. I triggered you many times to yawn, so hopefully you've noticed that while you're breathing. Okay. Gas exchange is very important. We need oxygen in. We need carbon dioxide out. We need lots of other things. Thanks, Debbie. We need lots of other things to come in and out. And one of those major things is toxins. So when air comes in, let's finish with what the lungs do. When air comes in, man, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, when air comes in, it goes into our alveolar sacs, doesn't sound right, into our capillary beds that line all of our lungs. Those capillary beds have brought waste to the alveolar sac. I don't know if that's right. The little sac, the air sac, exchanged it into the gas to be breathed out, but also things are coming in, including other nutrition. It's not just toxins out and oxygen in. But the things that come in then go to the capillary beds to get picked up by red blood cells and the blood, and then get distributed in the body. So it's a very great way to do that. When we are doing that, we need the highway to be flowing freely. And if things damage the highway, then you're going to have problems. You're going to have the little side streets are all full, but some of the major airways or pockets of the side streets can get damaged. What damages them? They get damaged from toxins, usually. Usually they're toxins coming out on the way out. And maybe there's so many, or they're particularly caustic, and they actually damage the cells on their way out. If that happens, we get lots of little air sacs that are hurt, potentially capillary beds, potentially bronchioles, or little parts of the bronchiole, right? So you have your air tube that comes down, and then it branches off like a tree root, gets smaller and smaller. So you have all of those sections that are branching out. I'm just going to yawn the whole time, just because I'm talking about air and lungs. It's just going to happen. So those branch out, they can get damaged. When they're damaged, then the body will shut down that part of the lung because it needs to repair it. When it's repaired, it opens it back up and it's flowing and functioning freely. This is probably happening in all of us multiple times a day, but it's so small, such small areas that we don't really notice it. When that area becomes big enough to notice, we get a little short of breath. There are a lot of things that are making us short of breath right now, whether you have asthma or not. So when this happens a lot, we diagnose it as asthma. When it happens sometimes, like you're trying to breathe in campfire smoke, or there's a forest fire and there's lots of things that are being aerosoled by the fire. When that happens, you actually sometimes can get damage coming in. So firefighters have a lot of lung damage often, and then we can, heavy smoke, all of that. What I want you to hear in this part of this is it's not just what you're breathing in, it's also what's already inside that's probably started some of the damage, or it made your lung tissue a little bit inflamed and ready to react. So when that happens, if that happens, of course, smoke or, cigarette smoke, fire smoke, perfumes, all of those things are going to affect the lungs. However, why are the lungs in such bad shape? Why do you get affected more than the person next to you, right? So we always can have something to do with our situation, with what our body needs to be supported. When we do the medical route of treatment of asthma or lung disease, what do? We do steroids, we do bronchodilators. Those are the major categories. So we have medications that basically force the air sacs and the bronchioles open when they've closed down to repair. You may be seeing the problem with this already. So when that happens, we of course have a less functioning, to whatever degree, area of your lungs. That area may get triggered pretty quickly and actually shut down again. And so you have to keep using your inhaler over and over. Or you may actually have something where the lungs do fully open and just function suboptimally. And then when another area gets damaged, the body closes both down. We didn't take care of the last one. While we're at it, let's fix both. This is why asthma is now a dangerous, life-threatening disease. Because if you keep opening up the highway, there's going to be a lot of potholes. And eventually it becomes undrivable, right? And our medications have to try to treat real symptoms, and it works well, but it doesn't fix the root. So if you have not started doing an inhaler for yourself or your child, I definitely would recommend not, unless it's to save your life. But hopefully you can use the principles we're going to talk about today to help your lungs to heal fully so that they actually can be fine. If you already are on medications, I am not your doctor recommending no medications. So do not go say, I got off my asthma medication because Amy online told me so. That is not what I'm saying. However, I want to talk about what those medications are doing and how we can heal the body so it doesn't need the medications anymore. And then you can work with your prescribing provider to make sure that you safely get off and reduce that medication. If you are just on a PRN medication, this is very simple because you just take it as needed and you just end up not needing it ever again eventually. So that's a very easy way, and thankfully that's what most people are at. Okay, so we also have bronchitis. So not everyone has an asthma diagnosis. They have kind of a bronchitis. They just have lung issues anytime they're sick. It's the same basic principle. The lungs are damaged some way. Either they're damaged by a toxin like we talked about, or they're damaged by a recurring infection, an infection that doesn't quite go away, a little bit of a yeast overgrowth in your lungs. All of these things are possible. Bacterial yeast can just kind of sit and hang out. You can have parasites in your lungs. So obviously anything like that is going to cause little bits of damage, and eventually that's going to cause problems. So moral of the story, your lungs should function well. If they don't, something damaged them. To stop your lung health going down the drain, to get it better, to get it back, you have to figure out what toxin is damaging your lungs. Some of those toxins are things we can remove from our environment. Stop using fake perfumes. Don't smoke. Don't vape, please. You can work with me if that's an addiction. There are reasons for all those things, and we can help your body get rid of them. If you are doing a lot of plastics, phytoestrogens, and heavy metals, if you have a lot of those in your body, one of the main ways we detox them is the lungs. Most people don't know this, but the lungs are a primary detox organ. It takes a large brunt of the detoxification work in our body, our lungs do. So if you have toxins in you, like mercury fillings, heavy metal toxicity, less than optimal functioning parotid glands, iodine deficiency, all sorts of things will cause injury to your lungs. So we work on the gut, see leaky gut videos, extraordinaire. GAPS videos. We work on removing fake things from our environment, so we're breathing in none of those, because that's going to help the workload of our bodies. And then we look at things we can't control, like smoke fires. Hopefully you have a low enough exposure of things you can't control that you can actually be okay to heal, but you might have to invest in an air purifier, wear some kind of mask or bandana. This is when I do recommend wearing a mask or a bandana. When I was in Nepal, heavy pollution. Anytime I was walking on the street, I had my just scarf wrapped around, because it was so much better to breathe that filtered air than anything else. So that is going to be helpful. On the other side, if you have any kind of lung strain, it would be very potentially dangerous for you to wear a mask for any long amounts of time. because that is going to hinder the whole exchange, put a lot of stress and pressure on your lungs and your blood pressure in your lungs, and inhibit the oxygen exchange, which then can cause lots of other problems. Okay. What else? So that's how they get damaged. That's how we can try to avoid as many triggers as possible. And then what can we do to heal? Hooray, our body wants to be healthy and healed. That's the way God designed it, is to heal itself. If it is not healed itself yet, it's because we did not give it the nutrition or the opportunity to heal yet. So, till you're dead, you always have a chance to heal. Some journeys may be a lot longer than others, but you always have the chance to heal. So how do we heal the lungs? The vitamin for the lung, there's really two that are pretty equal in my research, vitamin A and vitamin C. Interestingly, these are the same vitamins that the adrenals need in large amounts. So it makes a lot of sense that as we don't breathe properly and stimulate our respiratory, our sympathetic system, fight or flight, we actually can use up more A and C, which hurts the adrenals, but also hurts the lungs. So it's very important to get a lot of A and C, and breathing well will actually help both your adrenal and your lung systems not need so much A and C to function. So vitamins A, vitamin C, where do we get these? Vitamin A is found in animal fat. Dun, dun, dun. Eat butter. Cod liver oil is very high in vitamin A and D. I'm saying A is in apple, C is in cat. So A, cod liver oil, I'm looking because I have it right here. I like green pastures, cod liver oil, fermented butter oil, concentrated butter oil, I mean. Fermented cod liver oil with concentrated butter oil. 4 a day is great. You may take 6 if your lung problem's really bad and you're really stressed out, because you may need 6. Okay, then we look at butter, lard, especially grass-fed, sun-raised pig lard. Meat has some, liver has some, especially raw or desiccated liver. So that's where you can get vitamin A. Vitamin C is a water-based vitamin. It's found in sauerkraut. It's found in acerola cherry powder. Most cherries, berries, things like that have it. You can also get it in camu powder with a C, C-A-M-U, camu powder. Indian gooseberry, that was always my favorite. It's hard to find. So when you want vitamin C, find a source of vitamin C. That's from real food. And if you really have a lung issue, you probably want to take vitamin C to bowel tolerance. You can also get Cataplex AC, which is vitamins A and C from Standard Process, if you're a Standard Process person. Okay, that is what we need for the lungs. Minerals, we need a lot of minerals. I don't know that there is a specific mineral. Let's peruse the little chart here. I meant to look this up before, and I forgot to do that. Lungs need... nope, they don't have a specific mineral listed. So minerals. You need a lot of minerals. There's 2 reasons you need minerals to help the lungs. One, for the lung structure itself, especially metals. Remember that metals detoxify out. So anything that detoxifies out is going to have an affinity or a strong desire to be with, right? An affinity for certain cells. So fat-soluble vitamin A, which means fat toxins and heavy metals, are going to hang out in the lungs. We need to replace those and also to compete for the space. So if there's a lot of heavy metals hanging out in your lungs that your body's having a hard time getting rid of, what you want to do is put minerals in the body so the body pushes out the heavy metals. You also need minerals to get rid of your heavy metals metabolically. So to do the metabolism to make the heavy metal be able to be extracted, often minerals are required. So minerals are needed for detox. They're also needed to compete for heavy metals in the lungs, and they're going to be something that the lungs need. The lungs need minerals, which is why heavy metals are attracted there, because it's kind of pulling in that type of thing, that substance to those types of cells. Just like the iodine attracts to the thyroid, right? The thyroid attracts iodine. Cholesterol is also super important. So fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A is really important, but so is the actual structure of cholesterol for two reasons. One, we use cholesterol to heal inflammation and damage. It completes the healing process to have good cholesterol and to have an effect of the immune system using cholesterol. I have a video about the surprising role of cholesterol. I also have a video about asthma that's much shorter than this. But you can watch the videos. I'll put the links below after we're done. So cholesterol is needed to heal the tissue that's broken. And then again, lungs are a fatty type tissue as opposed to a waterish type tissue. So we need a lot of cholesterol to repair and rebuild new lungs cells that are damaged from the toxins. So we need a lot of cholesterol, vitamin A, vitamin C, and minerals to replace the damaged cells so that when the body goes to repair that and shuts the highway down, we can quickly repair it, move on, and have no issues. If you have been taking an inhaler or had lung issues for a long time, even a year or so, you're going to have lots of areas that need this. So you're going to have to refeed your body a significant amount for quite a while probably to allow your lungs to fully heal. Okay. Not surprisingly, the adrenals use vitamins A, C, cholesterol, and minerals. So it's pretty much the same thing. So whenever I know lung issues, I always think adrenal issues and vice versa. Yes. When we have damage that's long-standing in the lungs, we want to then no, let me go about this a different way. You probably have heard me talk about PMGs or protomorphogens. PMGs can be also described and labeled as cell determinants. Cell determinants are like the name tag of a cell. They identify in the nucleus of what type of cell this is, what its function is, and how big the organ it's a part of is. So your liver grows in its boundaries only as far as it grows because the PMGs tell it when to stop. That's why you can actually grow a liver outside of the body if you put PMGs with the right building blocks and the right environment and hormone cascade. So PMGs determine the functionality and the size of an organ and also the functionality and type of cell. When there is damage, like lung tissue damage, in your body that happens for a long time, asthma, right? Those cells containing the PMG of a lung tissue, the name tag, are actually going to get into the bloodstream, and the body identifies this as a problem. Proteins in the bloodstream are a problem, an emergent problem, because proteins could be bacteria, they could be rogue cells that are going to try to grow another thyroid in your liver, like problems, right? We can't leave proteins unescorted in the bloodstream. That's not good. The body will stop that. However, if those cells keep coming, the lung tissue keeps coming because the damage is still there, it never gets really repaired, then the body will start looking for the source. And that source is your lungs. And the body will start attacking the source. And we have a subclinical autoimmune disease now, subclinical autoimmune reaction happening to your cell tissue. So now you have toxins damaging your lungs. There's inflammation that's not getting completed because you don't have enough building blocks to do it. And then the immune system is attacking on top of it. This is why it can be so difficult to heal the lungs or any other tissue for that matter. When that happens, we can distract the immune system with a supplement of PMGs. So you take concentrated PMG of some other mammal that gets eaten on an empty stomach, absorbed into the lymph tissue, and it serves as a distraction, countermeasure, whatever you want to call it, to the autoantibodies. They go then for the PMG and the lymph tissue that you just ate, as opposed to your lungs, and they leave the lungs alone. This gives us a window of opportunity to heal without one of those attacking factors on the body. So in terms of what's causing the damage, it could be that you have gotten rid of your metals, but your body, your immune system is still attacking your lungs. So if you are concerned or curious or confused about why your body isn't healing something when it really should, There's often a subclinical autoimmune reaction happening underneath it, and the PMG supplement will distract it, and it's great. Sometimes we want to take a pneumotrophin, pneumo meaning lungs, pneumotrophin PMG. These are from Standard Process. Or you can also take a dermatrophin, skin PMG. So if it's the bronchioles that are really the problem, like a bronchitis, you actually might do the dermatrophin. Or you might have to do both the pneumotrophin and the dermatrophin. You take PMGs for a period of time to distract the immune system until you have healed the organ in question. When the organ's healed, we can take the PMGs away, and the body doesn't attack itself when it's healthy. It only attacks when it's ill. So as soon as those cells stop leaking into the bloodstream, the body will shelve the antibodies. It's not going to be a problem unless damage happens again. This may be something that you fight with your whole life, potentially. But in this instance, we are healed. Your body actually can be completely healed. So that is what PMGs do. I love using PMGs. I use them in my practice all the time because they are very helpful for exactly this issue. It shortens healing time. It allows us to get ahead of the game. It allows us to be in a place where we can. The good things we're doing are actually working because we're not fighting so many things. Okay. I have two more major notes. Like I said, lungs, while can be complex, are fairly simple, actually. One thing I want to throw out there is that the emotion of lungs, every organ has an assigned emotion by Chinese medicine. The emotion of lungs is grief. Grief can come in a lot of different looks. Grief can come by, it's grieving a loss of something. It could be a loss of a loved one. It could be a move that you, even if you're excited about, there is a grief processing. It could be a loss of opportunities. Most of us have been doing a lot of grieving. Most of us, thankfully, have not actually lost loved ones, but we have lost opportunities. We've lost trips. We have lost relationships at work, maybe lost jobs. Anything there's a loss, you have some amount of grieving to go through. Sometimes the grieving is very small and you process it well. That's good. Sometimes that seems small, so we ignore it and don't process it, which is not good. Or sometimes it's really large and it takes a while to process. There's no definition about what is large and small. It is just how yourself is receiving the thing that happened. Some people's dogs die and they're sad. Some people, dogs die and they grieve like they would for their child or their mother. That does not matter. No one's right or wrong. You just need to acknowledge how you are processing a grief and a loss and allow yourself to fully grieve that. When you don't fully grieve things, often your lung health goes down also. When I was having lung issues, it was not mostly toxin damage related. There was a little bit of that because I have a lot of heavy metals still that I'm working on, and I can get a bit of damage and injury from that. But the thing that overwhelmed my lungs was grief. I was doing a lot of processing of old griefs and current griefs, current losses. And that was something I was starting to be strong enough to process through old emotions. And there was a lot to process for me. So, because there's a lot of stuff I just didn't have the strength to deal with for a lot of years. In Chinese medicine, the meridian points of the lungs, lung 1, I think L1 is right here. Mine is a little bit tender. Yours might be too, especially if you're watching this because you have lung issues. So what can we do? We can rub oils here. That can be very helpful. I often rub Console right on this point. That's what my body really likes. You can also rub Breathe or Peppermint or Frankincense. Anything. Oh, arm's a little tingly. That anything there can kind of have a direct effect into the meridian line, the energy line of the lungs. Our body has to be connected, right? So the meridian connects the organs to kind of the rest of the flow of the body. I don't know if Chinese medicine people would yell at me for describing it that way, but that's how it makes sense in my brain. So you can put oils right here on lung 1. Usually you do it bilaterally. That helps you to stay balanced, and usually both of your lungs are being affected. So do it on both sides. So lots of things, that's kind of the access point. You also could rub it over your whole chest, for example, like you do when you're sick and you rub Vicks on your chest. There are lung points in the bottoms of your feet, which I do not have a chart to show you, but you can look up acupressure points in your feet. I think there's some in your hands as well. So those are things that you can get familiar with. And I've found doing oils on those points is incredibly more effective than just diffusing them or putting them on the structure of it. So it really helps to put it in the meridian lines. Let's see. It's also important to process your grief. That is going to help your lung health. And some people's lungs I've talked to, they have had a lot of grief in their life, or their lung issue started getting really bad, or that's when they started on medications, when a grief or two in a row happened in their life. So do not underestimate that. Not all organs are quite as clear and connected in their emotions, but the lungs do seem to be a pretty clear and expressive thing. As a detox organ, the lungs are going to release that emotion, just like other things are released out of the bladder, for example. Most other emotions they go out the other way. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? I'm sure I have a few more things. I'll think about what else I want to say, but do you have any questions? So overall, if you have lung issues, while you guys are thinking of questions, you want to figure out why you have lung issues. What toxin do you have in your body or that you're breathing in? Do you need to change your soaps and your fragrances and all of that? Do you need to buy an air purifier because right now you just can't handle the fires? Number two, are you eating the right foods to help your lungs? And are you eating enough of them? If you have a lot of stress in your life and your lungs are stressed, you need twice as much vitamin A and C and minerals and cholesterol as if only one of those was hurting. Okay, so keep in mind not just what a lot of times I feel like people think there's a reasonable amount of nutrition or food or vitamins or minerals for their body. And there is, but it's not like that. There is an amount that's going to be helpful, and that's the amount that takes care of the symptom of that deficiency. So if your lungs are still hurting, you're not taking enough A and C minerals and cholesterol, probably, or you still have an underlying trigger, or you need to do a PMG. Do we always have to do PMGs? Not necessarily. If it's a short-term thing, if it just started, if it's grief that you're processing, or you're more just anxious and short of breath and you find out that's actually because you're breathing wrong, then you don't need to do PMG. For the lungs. But if it's been a long-term issue, it's not going to hurt anything, and it could really make a huge improvement in your healing speed if you do that PMG to see. Like the idea of trying the oils. Awesome. Yeah, it's pretty fun to do that. I love Console on my lungs points. It's very nice. Okay, so stop the damage, whatever it is. Number two, allow your body to heal. So stop or reduce medications as much as you can within limits that are given to you by your prescribing provider. And so like if you have PRN, try not to take it, but don't die. Take it if you need it. But for those simple little ones, try to not. Try to breathe. Try to rest. Just sit down, sip on something. Calm, 15-20 minutes usually it passes. 15-20 minutes is all it takes for that lung to repair, even in the acute place of damage, as long as you have enough building blocks. So try to let it pass without medications, but please don't die. Try to get off your standard daily ones and just go to PRN ones. That would be the next step. And then hopefully you quickly will be able to use your PRN less and less. So that's the way it usually works, and of course you need to work with your prescribing provider. Try PMG, eat lots of food, eat more of it, eat more fat, and then make sure you're processing your grief. So that is lungs. I hope that was helpful, encouraging, informative, and like I said, it's fairly simple in teaching, not in how you do it yourself. So All right. Anybody else have any questions? If you do not, thanks for joining me. If you would like to donate to our educational endeavors, you can go to bewellclinic.net/events, and there's a donate button that just goes through Squarespace Square, and you can put a number of dollars and it comes to us, and we appreciate it. I also would appreciate if you subscribe, share, do a thumbs up on the video to like it. That helps YouTube know that people like it, not just watch it. And then share this with your friends, and that is great. Yes, lost opportunity aspect of grief. You're welcome. That I have had to learn much about grief because I did not understand it, so I didn't know how to process it well. And there are a lot of things. Anytime there is a loss, it's grief. Grief is the emotion to process it. Crying is good. Letting it out is helpful. Yes. Oh, the other thing that you can show up, acne right here in the face. This is the place of the lungs. And the bronchioles are right here in the corners of your nose. So just if you have a lot of acne right there, that may be what's going on. The toxins in your lungs are hurting the lungs, causing a bacterial overgrowth or just damage, and that then shows up in the face. So end of the session tidbit for you. Okay. Thank you so much for commenting, my dear commenter. And I appreciate everyone who's on, everyone who's watching this later. Please share this video if it's helpful. And I will see you at the next one, which is on our list. Sorry, I don't know. I don't have it on this calendar. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.